Coach Greeny, the Cougars are back home in Boulder this week, but of course taking on two top-ranked teams again, number 13 UCLA and number 19 USC. This is the start of the second half of the Pac-12 season. Is this a good time for your team, knowing that you've played these teams before?
Yeah, I think the second half of the Pac-12 season is always, interesting and fun because you've seen these teams before. And I know there's some injuries throughout the whole conference, actually, so you just never know, who you're going to face on certain nights. But it is nice with so many new people or people in different positions that we have faced these teams before. And, hopefully we can, kind of piece some things together. We've had some injuries ourselves. And so I think we're getting used to, playing with the lineup that we have. And it'll be nice to be back at home, though.
You have talked in the past about the fact that you're looking for more consistency from your team. How do you practice consistency or teach consistency to your players?
Yeah, I think it's in the little details, every single day in practice, really focusing on those things, doing the same skills the same way, repeating when we have done something well in practice and going from there. So I think it's a little bit of focus that comes in practice. And, volleyball is a tough sport because you can't repeat, a lot of the things that happen just in drills. You have to be able to play. And, so I think that comes just with a lot of focus and film work and just learning from each certain circumstance.
At this halfway point, talk a little bit about the challenge review system. How do you like it? What parts do you not like about it?
Well, I really like it when it goes our way. I don't like it as much when it doesn't, but I think it's a good thing. And of course, the officials and the line judges and everyone, they want to get it right. So I think it does help. It's a new system for everyone, so I think the officials are also getting used to, using it and being at the monitor and making those decisions. And, there's a lot of pressure there because they don't want to be wrong either. But I think it's a good thing. I know, in the first years, things don't go real smooth or quickly, so as we go along and everybody gets better at it, I think it'll just continue to improve.
You get 3 challenges in a match.
Correct.
Are you the sole person that makes that decision? Do you rely on your assistant coaches or even some of your team off the court, on the court to help you make that, whether you're going to use that review?
All right. I think it depends a little bit, like the players that are out there, those are the ones, if there's a touch call or net or something like that, that you really have to depend on to, maybe they give you a certain look or a wink or something if, maybe they did touch it, or they're really going to be passionate if, they think one way or another that the call should have gone our way. For the kind of in and out calls, we actually look up into the crowd a lot. To see, actually, our daughter Lauren, the last matches that we were home, Burdette happened to look down her direction. It was at the opposite end of the gym that we were at, and she was holding up her green card. And so he said, "Hey, Lauren knows." And the call was reversed in our favor. So she got to eat dinner that night, and she made the right call. And but it was good. So it's kind of, you use your bench, you use the other coaches, and sometimes you just, use it as a momentum breaker as well. So
will you see them tinkering in any way with the rules so that it's not so much a momentum breaker, or that they have a certain amount of time that they have to make the decision?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, every year they review the process and, what's working and what's not working. And, yeah, I think the time, to have a certain amount of time that the review has to be completed in is probably a good idea. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of gamesmanship that goes on, but, sometimes you've used all your timeouts and there was, a questionable call, and that might be a good time to use the challenge.
I had a fan ask me about what the rules were for the coaches, because you go out on the court with or to the side of the court, and your team gathers around you, whereas other coaches are just at the bench and their team huddles or just stands on the court. Are there rules?
Yeah, there's no rules besides the players can't come off the court, coaches can't go onto the court. I try and use that as a time of, maybe I'm asking, did you touch it, did you not, especially if the other coach is challenging that, and then just kind of using it too as a reminders of, what we're doing offensively or defensively, what we can do during that time. And sometimes it's a good time just to, say some jokes or something like that out there.
Lighten the mood.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit too about, there's a new situation now that the NCAA has a mandatory day off. That this is the first year that you've dealt with that. How is that working with your travel and practice and all kinds of things?
Well, it's definitely cutting into practice time. And, I was a student athlete. All of our coaching staff, we were all student athletes. So we definitely understand, the need for time off and recovery. And I think we as coaches, we did a really good job of that, of shortening practices or, giving days off when we felt it was needed. So I think we were already doing that. It's really tough for us in the Pac-12. We're not a conference that charters. And so instead of getting home, the night after a match, we travel the next day. And, then it turns into a couple, extra days off, and you're just losing that practice time, because we certainly don't really want to come home and have to practice after we've traveled and played and things like that. So while I do understand the need for time off and rest and schoolwork and all that, I think we were already doing a good job at balancing that. So, we have missed out on some practice days, which, every team, I think, needs, and we'll just have to get used to that.
Last question for the day. So you're going to play USC, UCLA again. Is the first film you go to look at the last game you played last weekend or the last time you played UCLA?
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. We look at the last time we played UCLA and USC and see what worked against them, see maybe their hitting tendencies just against our block. But we also know that teams kind of mix things up, and it's been a while since we have played them. And so we always want to look at the last match that they have played, the last weekend, actually, the last couple matches, and just see, if somebody else is playing instead of, maybe they're in different positions. Maybe they've added something new to their offense or defense. So definitely it's more than one film that we're looking at. We're looking at multiple for every single opponent that we play.
All right, well, good luck to the Cougars in Bowler Gym this weekend.
Great, thanks.